Typical, as soon as I'm about to start filming, the sun is beaming in at me, but you know what? That's kind of convenient because the topic of today's video is summer book recommendations for you guys, and also I'm going to be sharing some books that are on my summer TBR this year. Now, I'm not going to lie, most of these books are summer romances, like typical rom-com books. That is what I associate with reading on holiday or just in summer in the sun. However, I know that some people love reading thrillers when they're on holiday or during summertime, so I've got some thriller recommendations for you, and I also even have fantasy recommendations in case anybody likes to read fantasy during the summertime, because let's be honest, I will be reading fantasy, so I guess we should get into it. Where should we start? Let's start with the non-romance, and then we will go into romance after. So let's maybe start with thrillers, I guess. Okay, so my first thriller recommendation is The Teacher by Frida McFadden. I don't have the physical copy with me because I read this on Kindle Unlimited. I'm pretty sure all of Frida McFadden's books are on Kindle Unlimited, so if you have a Kindle and you're going away on holiday, I definitely recommend downloading some of her books on your Kindle because they are just perfect holiday reads in my opinion. They are so quick and easy to read. You can easily fly through one of these books in a day. Like, they're just so good, they keep you gripped, and I love them. And I'm specifically recommending The Teacher because I think this is my favourite one I've read by her. I just love the twist at the end. Like, Frida always puts some kind of twists in her books. Obviously they're thrillers, like there's always going to be a plot twist, but I very much enjoyed the plot twist in this one. It had me shocked. This is a thriller taking place in like a school setting, and we get two character points of view. Both of the character POVs that we get are women, and one of them is a teacher at a school and the other one is a student at that same school. And that's all I'm going to say. I just don't want to give anything away. But yeah, it's a really good thriller. I read it during a 24-hour readathon and I just flew through it. It was so easy and just like readable. So that's my first thriller recommendation for you. My next recommendation is What Lies Between Us by John Marrs. And again, I don't have the physical copy of this one because I read it on Kindle. I don't think it's on Kindle Unlimited though. I think I purchased it on Kindle. So What Lies Between Us follows a mother and a daughter who live in the same house, and you quickly find that there are many secrets between them, and in fact one of them keeps the other one, I can't remember which way around it is, locked in the attic. It's pretty crazy, but it had me gripped and I just had to know what happened and I wanted to know who I could trust. Really recommend that one. I have read some other books by John Marrs, but that is the only one that I really recommend. I really did enjoy that one and I don't really hear people talking about it. So yeah, that is another thriller recommendation for you. Okay, two more thriller recommendations. So I have to include Verity by Colleen Hoover. I have the physical copy, but it is upstairs somewhere and I haven't got it. So sorry, again, we've got another picture. I'm sure you have probably heard of this book. You'll definitely have heard of Colleen Hoover. While I don't love all of her books, I did really enjoy Verity when I read it. I think this is classed as a romantic thriller, romantic suspense. I don't know. Yes, there is some romance in it, but the main plot is definitely like a thriller plot. And in this we have our main character who is hired to be a ghostwriter of Verity because she has been in an accident of some sort or she's injured in some way and she can't carry on writing her series. So they hire a ghostwriter who is our female main character to finish the book series, and she basically goes and stays at Verity's house with Verity and her family and basically spends some time going through Verity's notes to figure out how she wanted the series to go. And let's just say she finds some very strange things and starts to question what has happened and who to trust. And yeah, it was just really good. Like, I loved it so much. It really was creepy, but again, I think it's just a really quick, fast-paced read that you'll be able to fly through during the summertime when you're just sitting out reading a book. So yeah. And then finally, my last kind of thriller recommendation is going to be In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. I don't know if I would say this is a thriller as much as it is just a mystery, and it also is dark academia. This book basically follows a group of friends from college or university, and they basically go to their reunion, but most of them aren't really friends anymore because somebody was murdered and some people in the group have been suspects, and that's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, it's a bit of a whodunit in a dark academia setting. It was really good. I enjoyed it. There's also a little bit of romance in this, so yeah, another recommendation for you. Okay, now let's move on to a few fantasy recommendations and then we will get into this massive stack of romance books I have in front of me. So when I was thinking of fantasy books for the summertime and summertime reading, I was kind of thinking of fairly fast-paced books that don't require too much concentration. So I've chosen books that aren't too complicated, that the world building is quite simple, they're not too long, and I think that you'll be able to fly through these whether you're just reading them at home during the summertime or on holiday. Firstly, I had to include Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This is kind of a fairy tale fantasy vibe, and it is just so good. It is YA, so it's really easy to read and follow. As I said, it's kind of like more of a fairy tale than a traditional fantasy. It feels quite light and fun, and it is just so good. So in this, we follow Evangeline, and she finds out that the man that she is in love with and has been in love with and wanted to get married to is actually engaged to somebody else. So she makes a deal with the Prince of Hearts to help her, and he basically asks for 3 kisses in exchange, and that's what I'm going to say. It is really fun, and I love this series, and it's really quick and easy to read, so I think a great one for you to maybe take on holiday with you and just binge read the entire series. Okay, next we have a recent favourite series of mine. Anybody know what's coming? The Sacred Stones trilogy. Only the first 2 books out so far, so we have A Dawn of Onyx and A Promise of Peridot, and I loved these books so much. I gave both of them 5 stars. It is a hardback, so maybe you would want to download on your Kindle, although I think you can get paperback versions actually. Anyway, this was really quick and easy to read. The world building was not complicated at all. It's very much a romantasy, so there is a lot of romance in this, and yeah, I think it's just a really fun time, and I recommend everybody reading this book. Our main character, Arwen, is a talented healer, and basically there is a war going on in this world, and she gets captured by the enemy soldiers and taken to their kingdom, and she's kept there as a prisoner and has to work as a healer. That's kind of the starting plot for this book. As I said, there is a really strong romance plot in this, and it is just so good. Yeah, definitely recommend to add to your summer reading list. Now, a series that reminds me quite a lot of that series, we have the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy. It's very strange because I would also class this as a romantasy series, but I would say that there's not any romance really in the first book, which sounds strange, but you just have to trust me on it. This is a King Midas reimagining. Our main character is gold-plated, and she is basically kept as a prisoner, but like in a nice gilded cage and things like that, by King Midas, and she is his favoured saddle. But she absolutely loves him and is devoted to him, so she kind of is going along with it, but she starts to question things at some point during this book and this series, and yeah, it grows a lot from that starting point, but that is definitely the starting point of this book. And again, I would say it's really easy to read. The world building is quite simple, you get your head around it quite quickly. It's quite like fast paced and not too long, and yeah, definitely another good recommendation if you are craving reading a fantasy this summer. Next, we have a very recent read for me, Bride by Ali Hazelwood. In this, we basically have a world where like humans, vampires and werewolves do not get on. They kind of live very separately within society, and relations between them have not been good. However, to try and fix that, a deal is made, which means that Misery must marry a alpha werewolf to try and improve the situation between werewolves and vampires, and so she does. She gets married to this werewolf and she goes to live with him and his pack, and yeah, it is really fun. I love all of Ali Hazelwood's books, so like I would definitely recommend other ones like her traditional romances as well, but if you were in more of a fantasy mood, then I think this is a really fun one, and it's kind of like it reads very much just like a normal romance book, but it is fantasy. So yeah, I definitely recommend this one if you have not picked it up already. And then the final kind of fantasy recommendation is another recent read, and that is The Cruel Prince or The Folk of the Air trilogy. So this is another YA fantasy, and again it is therefore very kind of quick and easy to read, easy to follow. However, what I will say is this is very much a political fantasy. It's very politics heavy. There is a romance, but it's definitely a side plot, so yeah, you are going to get a lot of politics in this one, but I still really enjoyed it. I think that the fantasy world in this one was just done really well and different from anything I'd seen. Like the interpretation of Fae was really interesting to read about, so yeah, Okay, now we can move on to romance, and I'm gonna have to consult my phone because I need to go through these in some kind of like order that makes sense. Okay, so I think let's start off with the Chestnut Springs series by Elsie Silver. I'm sure you have heard of this series, but this is on Kindle Unlimited, so again, great if you are going somewhere this summer. You can take your Kindle and you can download that whole series on Kindle Unlimited. Perfect. This is a small town romance or like cowboy romance series. It's really fun. They're all like interconnected standalone, so although you don't have to read all of the books, I would definitely recommend that you do because the characters are very linked, like they are all family or very good friends with each other. Okay, so next I am going to recommend an author and 2 specific books that I have really enjoyed, but obviously I recommend kind of everything by this author. I know lots of people really enjoy all of her books, and that is Abby Jimenez, and the 2 that I have here to talk about are Part of Your World and the Happy Ever After playlist. These are actually parts of 2 separate series that Abby Jimenez has written, so this one came first, and this is not the first book in the series. The first book in this series is The Friend Zone, and I think that maybe is what the series is called. I don't really think you have to read all of the books in the series, but if you want to, The Friend Zone is the first one. And in this one we have a one of them is famous trope, we have like a bit of a texting relationship, we have a dog. It was a really fun book. I really enjoyed it and I think it would make a really good summer read. And then we have Part of Your World. This one is an age gap romance, so we have a older woman and she is very much like lives in the city, kind of corporate life, works a lot, and then we have our male main character and he is a little bit younger. I can't remember exactly what the age gap is, so sorry about that, but yeah, there is an age gap, and he is basically from a small town and owns like a hotel or something, I can't remember, and it's a romance between them, and obviously their worlds are very different, so you see the complications of that. But yeah, okay, this next one I think is a little bit controversial. I think a lot of people did not like this book, but I absolutely loved it and I'm going to recommend it because I mean it's literally a perfect summer read in my opinion, and that is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. In this we have a then and now timeline. It is like childhood friends to lovers to estranged. There is something that happens in this book that a lot of people are not a fan of. I personally didn't mind it within the storyline of the book and our couple, but I know it bothers some people, so yeah, I do understand why some people do not like it. It's really good. I just absolutely loved it. I think it's very similar to Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I did enjoy that one, but I definitely preferred this one personally, and I think this one is definitely like such a summer read. So next I have, actually we just spoke about Christina Lauren, and I am going to recommend The Unhoneymooners. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't read this in a long time. I think I read it in like 2020 and I absolutely loved it. Like I was obsessed with this book. I couldn't put it down. I read it in one sitting, and everybody that I recommended it to like in my personal life read it and absolutely loved it as well. So I know it's not just me, I know it was really fun. Maybe I should reread it this summer. That would be fun actually. Also, don't mind the fact that this book is so big. I just ordered it from Amazon and it came and it was like the US cover, but absolutely massive. This is like fake dating, but also enemies to lovers. It takes place in Hawaii, I'm pretty sure, so really good summer book. Yeah, absolutely loved it. A go-to summer read. Okay, next I have When in Rome by Sarah Adams. Sarah Adams has a number of books out and most of them are closed doors, so do not have any spice. So she is a really good author to look at if you want to get some recommendations of books that don't have any spice in them. Obviously, as I talk about books, like if one's YA, it's not going to have spice in either, so just bear that in mind. This is my favourite of her books by far, and the one that I would definitely recommend. This is a small town romance. Our male main character lives in this small town. He owns his own bakery, or is it a pie shop? I think it's a pie shop, yeah. And then our female main character is actually like a famous singer, like pop singer, and she's basically just looking for some time out, and yeah, it's really good. Sorry, I just got a phone call and I can't remember exactly where I was. I think I've explained this book. So yeah, definitely recommend my favourite Sarah Adams book that I have read, and a really quick, easy book to read on holiday. I'm gonna stop saying that because literally I have chosen most of these books because they are really quick and easy to read. So I'm gonna stop saying that now. Okay, next we have Good Girl Complex by Elle Kennedy. Now, Elle Kennedy has so many books out and I have read a lot of them. So there's loads that I could recommend, But this one in particular, I think got a really bad rep, and I don't know why, because I personally really enjoyed it and I think it's a really good summer read. Can I like completely remember the plot? No. I just remember it was like a really good summer read. I recommend it. Sorry, I keep being interrupted. Ollie now decided it was a good time to start hoovering. So again, can't remember where I got to with this. I'm pretty sure I was saying I can't really remember the plot. All I know is it was a romance book. It was very like summer coded, and I recommend reading it in the summer. Okay, next we have a very recent read, and that is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. I have to recommend this because it was just so fun, quick and easy to read. Literally a perfect rom-com, and yeah, the writing was just so good. I really recommend it. This is a bodyguard romance, but she is the bodyguard, and it is also like forced proximity, and one of them is famous trope, so he is famous. And yeah, it is just so good. I absolutely loved it. I think it would be a really good book to read on holiday or during the summertime. Okay, next we have, I guess like a whole author, but like this is the specific book I'm gonna recommend. Lauren Asher is who I'm talking about. She has 3 different series out. So she has the Dirty Air series, which is an F1 romance series. She has Dreamland Billionaires, which is like a billionaire romance series following 3 brothers, like their own basically Disneyland, but a fictional version of that. And this is Lakefront Billionaires. This is like a small town billionaire romance series, and this is the first book in it, and I absolutely loved this. I said that I think this and the first book from the Dirty Air series are like my favourite Lauren Asher books I have read. And yeah, I don't know, I just think this would be a really nice one to read during summer, but to be equally, so would all of her books, and they are all on Kindle Unlimited, so you can binge all of her books if you haven't already on Kindle Unlimited. So yeah, Lauren Asher is another recommendation. As I said, this one and Throttled are my favourites by her, but I do really recommend like each one of those series. I think they're all really good. Okay, another author we have is Ali Hazelwood, and I have obviously already spoken about her with Bride in the fantasy section, but I'm just gonna talk about her again because I think her books are so readable. Like if you're somebody who kind of struggles to read but like maybe just enjoys reading during summertime when you can sit outside, I think that Ali Hazelwood books are great. They're so easy to read. Here I have Check and Mate, which is a YA Ali Hazelwood books. I would say that her books tend to have quite a lot of spice in them, so if that is not for you, maybe go for Check and Mate, which is her only YA book, and obviously this is set in like the chess world. This was really good, really fun. I loved it. And then the other ones, we obviously have her STEM series. I don't know exactly what the series is called, but I'm just going to call it the STEM series. In fact, are they even a series? I don't even know if they're a series, but they're kind of like connected. Like sometimes you see the other characters, but you definitely don't need to read them in order or anything like that. So this one here is Love Theoretically, which is the newer one that she came out with in that realm, and I really enjoyed this, but all of them are really good. You've got The Love Hypothesis, this one. I've not actually read Love on the Brain yet, that is on my TBR. Yeah, I've not read that one yet, but I've really enjoyed every single one of her books I've read and definitely recommend them for the summertime. Okay, now we have another series that I think is like definitely perfect for summer, and this is another spicy series. So if spice isn't for you, then you have been warned, this series is probably not for you. This is It Happened One Summer and Hook, Line and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. These are like a duology, they go together. I guess you don't have to read them together, but I would. And this is a small town romance series. In this one, she is like a prima donna, like she is a lot high maintenance, let's say, and he is just like a small town guy. I think he like owns the fishing boat or something like that, but they end up like becoming friends and working together, and yeah, it was really good. And then this one follows her sister. This is like a friends to lovers romance, and I really enjoyed this one as well. I think they're really good summer reads, but as I said, if you don't like spice, then definitely steer clear of these books. How could I not talk about this? I think that this is a good summer read because I think that it's just really easy to read. Some people may disagree. Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. This is a romance series, but it's a very toxic romance series. I've spoken about it a lot on my channel, so I'm not going to talk for too long about it, but it's basically like Gossip Girl in London, and think about how toxic the relationships are in Gossip Girl. yeah, that's what you're getting in this book series. If that's not for you, then that's not for you, and that's perfectly fine. But I would recommend it just because I think it was really easy to read. I also, obviously, this is a 5-star book for me. Most of the books in this series are 5 stars. I absolutely love them, so I had to recommend. I also think that these books are now on Kindle Unlimited, so again, really easy for you to take with you wherever you go. And then lastly, we have Lynn Painter. There are 2 books in particular that I recommend by Lynn Painter, but I know loads of people love her and everyone has different tastes on what their favourite books are by her. So my favourite books might not be yours. My favourites are definitely Better Than the Movies, which is her YA romance, and Mr. Wrong Number, which is an adult romance. But from memory, it doesn't have like much, if any, spice in it, so don't be put off by the fact that it's adult. But Better Than the Movies is also equally great in my opinion. Her books are just so easy to read, so fun, like just like light-hearted. I mean, they actually do cover deep topics, but like they're just like, I don't know, like her book give me the exact same feeling as like watching a rom-com that you've never seen before and like being obsessed with it. Like, I don't know, I love her books. So yeah, Lynn Painter is a definite recommendation for me. Okay, I feel like I've been talking for so long and I still need to tell you what's on my summer TBR for this year. So let me just get up my Notion actually. So I'll just show you it quickly and we will run through these because yeah, I don't want this video to be a million years long. And here we have my 12 summer romances on my TBR. So firstly, we have Wild Love by Elsie Silver. That is actually on my TBR for this month, so I should get to it. Ow. Oh, sorry, I just got a really bad headache hit. So yeah, hopefully I should get to that one very soon. But this is her newest release and it's part of a new series that she is doing, and it's like a single dad and brother's best friend romance, I think. And I'm very excited for that because I love the brother's best friend trope. And yeah, also I'm pretty sure it's like billionaire romances, like he is a billionaire as well. Who doesn't want a billionaire, let's be real. And then we have Girl Abroad by Elle Kennedy. This is again one of her newer books that she's come out with, and I think our female main character goes on like a year abroad to London and I think like ends up in a love triangle with 2 guys that she lives with when she gets there. Then we have Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This again is a new release, and basically both our characters are struggling with the romance department because they believe that they are both cursed, that everybody that they go out with then like actually finds their soulmate and they're just left on their own, and that cycle just repeats. So they decide to date each other, I think, to break that chain. Then we have The Nanny by Lana Ferguson. This has been on my TBR for a while and I really want to get to it. All I know is I think my main character is a nanny and she basically has an OnlyFans account, and I think like the dad, it's a single dad, I think he finds the account. And yeah, that's all I know about it, but it sounds fun. Then we have The Catch by Amy Lee. This is the 3rd book in her influencers series, and I think this follows like a fashion influencer. I don't know much about the romance, but I've enjoyed the other books in this series, so that is one I do want to get to. Then we have You With a View by Jessica Joyce. This is like a road trip romance, and also I think there must have been like childhood rivals, or like they didn't like each other at high school, but they're forced to go on this road trip together and have a romance, I guess. Then we have Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. This is one of Tessa Bailey's older books, but it's just one that's always sounded good to me because it is brother's best friend trope. So I've had this on my TBR for such a long time, I really need to read it, so hopefully this summer I will. Then we have Cross the Line by Simone Soltani. This is a new F1 romance that has recently come out. I'm not 100% sure on the tropes, but it's an F1 romance and I love F1, so I will hopefully be reading that this summer. Then we have You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogle. This is a couple are basically engaged, going to get married, but I think neither of them actually want to get married because they're just having cold feet or whatever, they're not happy, but neither of them wants to be the one to break it off because then they would have to pay for the wedding. So I think both of them are like trying to annoy the other one so much that they'll break up with them and end the relationship. I don't know, that's what I know. That's what I know about this one. I've had this on my TBR for such a long time. Like, I think loads of people read this one absolutely years ago, but I heard really good things and I still want to read it, so maybe this summer hopefully I will get to it. Then we have Nora Goes Off Script by Annabelle Monaghan. This is one that I've heard a lot of recently. I've seen lots of people reading it and I really want to read it. This is like a relationship between like a woman who I don't know what she does actually, but and a film star. And I think there's also like, is she a single mum? I think so. But yeah, it sounds really good and just like a really good summer read, so that is on my TBR. Then we have The Fake Mate, which is another book by Lana Ferguson, and this one I want to read because I enjoyed Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and I saw lots of people saying if you liked Bride, read The Fake Mate, so that's what I'm gonna do. So yeah, it's an Omega-verse romance. I think this one is actually between like two werewolves. Yeah. And then finally we have This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. I recommended Every Summer After earlier. That was her first book. This is her third book. I never read her second book because I just didn't hear good things about it. But I think I've heard some good things about This Summer Will Be Different, so I'm excited to read it. I don't know anything about this book, so I can't say any more than that. But yeah, that is the last book of my 12 summer romances on my TBR. And finally, that brings us to the end of today's video. I'm not sure how long I've been talking, but it feels like for a very long time. So if you have made it to the end, well done. Why don't you leave a yellow heart so I know that you watched till the end, and let me know what is on your summer TBR as well in the comments. I would love to know and get some ideas from you. And yeah, if you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'd love to see you in my next video. Bye.